Hello, hello, my favorite humans. Welcome back to Mick. I am the Jack, and today you're here for some fun, fascinating, and today's interesting stories of the internet. That's really the best I can explain it. Here's our bundle of drama today. Any thoughts you have as we read along, feel free to leave as a comment below. I do like to read them when I'm too lazy to get out of bed in the morning, so come on, give me some reading material. Of course, general feedback into the stuff you like and are disliking is absolutely appreciated as well. Anyway, enough of the dilly-dallying, let's get on to the story. Am I the a-hole for buying $45 worth of Parmesan cheese?
Yes, that is $45 worth. Are you kidding me? No, you're not. You're the a-hole. Next story.
Am I the a-hole for giving an ultimatum when I found out my mother was dating my brother-in-law? This is a really strange time in my life. I wish I was making it up. I'm a 19-year-old female. I had an amazing sister who passed away years ago from a drunk driving accident. Other driver was drunk. I don't need to tell you how devastated my whole family was and still is. Though we went to grief counseling, there's only so much you can heal. She was 25 at the time, and her husband, who I'll call Eric, was 29, and they had just had a baby girl who was 10 months old. My mum, who was 40 at the time, started helping out a lot with the baby since Eric now had to work extra hours to bring in the same income as before. My mum raised us as a single parent and has always been good with kids, and she took care of my niece just as well. She ended up staying over sometimes to help with the baby at night too, and eventually she just moved in so that she wouldn't have to commute. I think they consoled each other a lot in the aftermath of my sister's passing. I didn't think anything of it at the time, except that it was nice that they could help each other. When I went over to visit them, they were very close, but they've always been that way. It seemed normal and platonic. Now it's been 4 years. A couple of days ago, Eric and my mum asked to talk to me together and sat me down, looking nervous. They revealed that they were dating and it was serious. They explained how close they had gotten and how niece treated grandma as like a mum. I'll be honest, I don't think I reacted well. It was a huge shock to my system and I couldn't believe it at first and kept questioning them. In the end, I gave an ultimatum that if they kept dating, I would go no contact. Then I left and went back to my apartment because I couldn't stand to keep talking to them knowing this. After I cooled off for a bit, I feel like maybe I was too harsh. I think I made them really upset, and my mom has been calling me and I haven't answered. And I get how they got close. I still can't help feeling a bit disgusted at the idea, but maybe that's wrong of me. I don't know why, but it feels like a betrayal of my sister even though she's not around anymore. That they could do this to her. Am I the a-hole by giving and sticking to the ultimatum? I'm not saying that they can't date, but I don't want to be around them if they are. Extra info, this question came up, but no, my mum didn't leave me when I was 15 to live with Eric. I went to boarding school at the time, so she relocated during the school year when I was gone. During summers, she switched back to commuting to Nice. Now, I do have some opinions on this, but let's go through the comments first and see where some sides are sticking on. I'm not the a-hole. Quite frankly, it's gross and disrespectful. I don't see how they thought it was okay. You have every right to feel the way you do. If I were you, I'd have done the same thing. Not only are they disrespecting your sister like that, but did they really expect for you or anyone else to be okay with it? Frick that. There are some lines you simply don't cross. A-hole side of the story, you are the a-hole here for sure. Imagine if your brother-in-law was dating another woman that just happened to be a bit older. Would you still react this way? You need to ask yourself what the problem is here. Is the issue the age difference, or that your mum has found a new relationship? If so, why do you feel that way? They aren't biologically related. Are there some possible psychological reasons your brother-in-law might have transferred his affections to your sister to her mother? Sure, probably, but if they're in a happy, healthy, stable relationship that is a positive environment for both them and your niece, I don't get why you're reacting so strongly. You need to take a hard look at why you feel this way, because you are 100% the problem here. Another one agrees, yeah, I get that it seems squicky, but the age difference is reasonable, and if they've been essentially co-parenting, this actually seems really nice for your niece. Trauma bonding is real. And if they make each other happy, I think you should just try to get comfortable with it. Totally reasonable to keep some distance maybe while you adjust to this, But full no contact and ultimatums is too much. They haven't done anything wrong. No a-holes here. No one can force you to be comfortable with this, and it's better for you to keep your distance if you can't. I'm not even saying you'd be wrong to be concerned that it's not entirely healthy. But given that you can't force them to break up, and even you seem to recognize that this likely grew out of a shared grief rather than an attack on your sister's memory, you might want to work on at least letting go of the feelings of betrayal. So yeah, obviously it's rather easy for us to immediately find this disgusting because there's a tad little spice of incest going on. But I mean, also, there isn't, at all. If you really think about it, there's nothing incestual about this other than just the labels they have been given themselves in their extended family. I don't know, just reading how they've reacted about this whole story and some of the comments, there are a lot of people that think they are not the a-hole. And a lot of people just finding this immediately gross and disgusting and wrong and it's so just inappropriate. A terrible influence on the child. I'm not saying it's the exact same scenario, but this honestly comes across as how people react to homosexuals. Like if this was a gay couple and we were in the 1800s, how is the justification everyone has here for this person not being the a-hole in this situation any different? Of course, you can argue with genetic infertility and possible grooming from the parent towards the child, but they aren't related by blood, and they got together as adults. And I genuinely have to agree. If they are happy together, if they have proven that it is a stable relationship and the niece is definitely okay with it, then why should we judge this? Look, based on how you reacted, I am going to say you are the a-hole, but I'm also going to agree that you are totally valid to feel uncomfortable by this. But I have to also pose another question. Are you actually uncomfortable because you think it's a betrayal of your sister? Or are you actually more ashamed of the idea that you have family members who are dating each other? That they are taking part in a social stigma that is taboo? Again, I don't know, it just really comes across as the same sort of arguments homophobes make. Anyway, like this video if you hate me rambling on for too long, and let's go into the next story. Am I the a-hole for being inconsiderate towards my mother-in-law? I'm a 26-year-old female and am getting married in a few months in a small ceremony to my fiancé, 28 male. Recently, a video went viral where the bride's mum has cancer, so to support her, the bride and groom shave their heads to show their love and support. The thing is, my fiancé's mum has cancer, and the fiancé's son-in-law, and fiancé's brother-in-law all want to shave their heads at the wedding to show their support. Now, I think this is sweet, as my mother-in-law is a very kind person, and I have no problem if they do so, fiancé included. But they want to do it only on the wedding day, plus I have to do it too. So this is where my conflict lies. My hair grows very slowly and has taken so long to grow till beyond my shoulders, and I take extremely good care of it by using special herbal oil that can only be found in my hometown. I live overseas. And I want my wedding day to celebrate the union of two souls and two families, not to make it about my mother-in-law. I don't mind any other day. Now, all of them are saying that I am being inconsiderate to my mother-in-law. Note, the mother-in-law does not have any idea about it. Now, try to be quick with this one. Absolutely you're not the a-hole. Personally, I believe the wedding should always be about the bride and groom. Everyone else should simply be privileged to be there. You two are spending the money on all of this. You deserve to have a choice in what happens. Fiancé's cool to make the offer, but you have every right to reject it, especially if he's offering something that he can partake in regardless if you want to or not. Also, yeah, it's a sweet gesture, but what does it accomplish? Well done. You cut your hair. I suppose it's one thing if the mother-in-law is actually insecure about being bald, but I guess personally, if I ever did have cancer and was bald and my friends did that for me, I'd think they're idiots. Like, well done, you shaved your heads, guys. I still got cancer. I suppose it's one of those things where it's the thought that counts. Next story. Am I the a-hole for defending my husband from my family after they claimed he wasn't fit to be the man of our home? My husband had his brother and parents pass away from COVID in 2020, and the horrible thing was he had to witness them die in the hospital he worked at. Not long after, he was laid off from work. He became a stay-at-home father, except our two girls are grown up and self-reliant, so they didn't need him. He was no longer emotionally present with me in our time together in the months after he was laid off, and our girls picked up on our disconnect and told me he wasn't present with them as well. A lot of days I'd see him sit by himself and not talk to anyone or anything. Sometimes I'd see him in our bedroom weeping and asking what his life had come to. It was clearly depression. After a while, he couldn't be physically intimate with me except when I initiated it, and I struggled with body image issues at first because of the lack of lovemaking, until I realized he was depressed and understood why it dried up. Emotional conversations were also very tough for him, as he would shut out of anything of that matter. When I suggested grief counseling many times, he said he was strong and didn't need it. At a small get-together at our home, my brother, sisters, parents, and other relatives and their children, along with me and my husband, were present. My girls were with friends. My siblings found my husband having an anxiety attack, repeatedly rambling he was going to be all alone and he was going to die, complaining of chest pains. My brother laughed at him and thought he was joking. My sisters laughed at first too, but when they realized it was serious, called for an ambulance. I was furious at my sisters and brother for treating this as a joke. The other day, my parents said that they wanted to see me with my siblings privately, without the girls or my husband with me. Immediately, my parents questioned whether my husband was stable and if he needed mental treatment. I said yes, and that I was slowly making sure the idea of a counselor would be palatable for him. My mother said my husband was a loon. My brother and father agreed, and my sister laughed at their words. This really upset me, and I said that they knew nothing about me or my husband, and that he was still struggling with the death of his relatives and losing his job. My father was more serious after this and said that, as he was, my husband could never be the man of the house and support our daughters through life and treat me like a queen if he was blabbering on about death and being mopey all day. He then said I should consider leaving him. That just infuriated me. I told my father to shut up and that my husband is so strong for bearing all of that loss and that he'd never understand what it's like to lose your family in the space of a week. I then told them to not call my home or contact my family until we were comfortable with it. I told my girls all this and they are in full support of me defending their father, but my husband thinks I made him look spineless. Am I the a-hole? People's thoughts are, not the a-hole. Your side of the family is straight up awful and good for you for putting them in their place. As far as therapy, tell him you know he's strong, but we all need help sometimes. What he's been through is a major trauma, and there's no shame in taking steps to help yourself through it. He has to get help to get through this. Yeah, obviously there was no one who was saying that they're the a-hole in this situation. Honestly, how could they be? I know some would love to jump ship at the moment their partner is showing any signs of negativity, to the point where it's honestly a shame that we have to be so amazed and praise the existence of one as OP. So open and shut case, obviously not the a-hole in this situation, and in regards to the husband not wanting to see therapy just yet, I'm just going to steal the great, metaphors, anecdotes, whatever you call it, from these comments here. Going to therapy isn't a sign of weakness. Going to therapy is a sign that you're strong enough to make yourself uncomfortable in order to make yourself better. I'm also a fan of the, if you broke your finger, you wouldn't say, "Oh, it's just a finger. I'm strong. I can heal." You'd go to a doctor so they can make sure it heals properly. Example. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting a lesbian friend attend a boys' night out gathering? Now, this happened a couple of years ago. I used to host a monthly boys' night out, just us guys. Any and all men were welcome as long as they were connected to a core friendship circle. It wasn't all guns and bourbon with a side of testosterone. Usually our gatherings were low-key. We'd typically go grab dinner and find a place to hang out over some adult beverages and just rub elbows for a while. Maybe grab a cigar or something. One day, a lesbian friend says, "Can I come to your next boys' night?" I thought about it for a second and tried to understand why she wanted to go. She said she wanted to try to feel like what it was to be one of the guys. For what it's worth, she was also happily married to a wonderful woman at the time. I tried to gently tell her that for a woman who struggled with her own identity as a lesbian, that I was puzzled why she'd want to be regarded as one of the guys, even temporarily. She shrugged, and I informed her I'd have to ask the guys. Now, the guys were concerned that even if they welcomed her once, that she was the kind of person that would invite herself to the next one, and the next one. And the upshot of all that was, she doesn't have a pee-pee, and therefore the answer is, I'm sorry, but no. So honestly, I'm already going to agree to the fact that that is just a pathetic reason to say no. She was very upset by this, and seemed to hold it against me for quite some time until we simply stopped hanging out. which happened to coincide with the disintegration of her marriage and general alienation of all her friends. Yes, she remains a lesbian in another lesbian relationship. I suppose I could have just included her, but I'm kind of glad I didn't. Still, sometimes I wonder if I was the a-hole in this situation. Well, firstly, I'm going to say kudos to you for actually taking the moment to reflect on this experience in your life and actually wanting to see if you could have improved in this situation or taken on better feedback. Most people have a habit of not doing that and just thinking that that experience will never come up again and they'll never make that same mistake again. Anyway, people's thoughts, not the a-hole. It's guys' night, not friends who are attracted to women night. You are allowed to pick and choose who you spend your time with. I was also brought up that it's rude to ask to be invited to something like that. If you were wanted there, you'd have been asked to go along. You didn't do anything wrong. Now, I saw some comments asking who even does gender hangouts, and I can vouch this is a thing. Women get together to have some time with women, and men do get together to be around men. It's not a problem. I hang out with women only occasionally so we can do things together men don't like, or to spend some time away from our significant others. It's not a bad thing, and doesn't need to be taken so seriously. No, you're the a-hole. Think about how she might not fit into the girly girls night. Who does she hang out with then? Even if she couldn't participate in your regular guys night because you didn't want to ruin it for the other men, it would have been cool to make time for her elsewhere. Yeah, agreed. This is just experience as a girl who had a very large male friend groups, but guys' nights were just kind of generally sexist and exclusionary. I don't know. I've just always had beef with them. Others are welcome to their own opinions. I just dislike the concept, so I think you guys are the a-hole for being exclusionary in the first place. So I'm going to agree with the first yatar, but absolutely laugh at the hypocrisy of the second yatar. Yes, of course, some male groups are quite sexist in behavior, but like, my goodness, read the yatar comment. Are you not aware that women like to have girls' nights too? Like, you know girls do it as well, right? Degrading their ex or even in some cases their current partners and how they're good in the bed, bantering together over drinks. Like, it's literally the exact same thing as a guy's night, just depending on the activity and how aggressive they're being, I guess. And that last bit's very assumptuous of me. Again, I'm not someone who's experienced with girls' nights, so I don't really know how crazy they can get. Back to the story specifically though. Look, your reason for saying no, absolutely pathetic, and totally justifies people calling you out for being rather sexist in this scenario. Better reason can be simply what the Natar comment was saying, that sometimes, especially people with a partner, want to experience a night out or a social experience with just their fellow gender. Honestly, to shame this is to shame a parent for having some me time away from their child. If the actions and activities that those people engage in those social events are somewhat problematic, then yeah, you're free to call that out. But to hate on these guys for literally just wanting to hang out with their fellow male friends, no, no. I'm still gonna say you're the a-hole though. You justified in what you wanted, but how you did it was so bad. Next story. Am I the a-hole for trying to put a woman in the kitchen? So me, 30-year-old male, and my fiancée, a 27-year-old female, had a baby boy 18 months ago. And because of this, my fiancée has decided not to work for a few years. I fully support this decision, as I can see how much it benefits my son, and I love how much effort she puts into him. She always brings him outside for play or walks or doing little games and art and crafts with him, and developmentally, he's flying. The problem is, I'm working full-time. It used to be 40 hours a week, and now that she doesn't work, I've been able to go up to about 50 hours a week. Despite this, I do more than half of the chores. She does all the washing. I'm gone to work most days before my son wakes up and home just before he goes to bed, so I can't use the washing machine. It's too loud. And I do all the ironing. I also do all the house maintenance. The house is a bit of a junk, so I'm doing the place up as I can on my days off. So at least one 8 to 10 hour day a week, as Sunday is family day. I do all the grocery shopping. She doesn't like it. And most other small things like sweeping the floor, taking out the trash, and most other things around the house. I also put him down every night unless I'm visiting my mum once a week. And I get up early with my son every second day, so she can stay in bed till I go to work at 9. She does the hoovering as well, as it's a noise thing, like the washing. But the thing we're arguing over is the cooking. The deal we made when she stopped working is I cook 3 nights a week, and she cooks 3 nights a week, and on Sundays, we get a takeaway. But for the last 2 months, she has cooked about 6 times overall. Now apparently it's because she's tired from all the housework she's not doing and playing with our son all day. All she does is one load of washing a day and hoovers once a week. I do everything else. So yesterday, I told her straight up to start doing her part with the cooking. I'm sick of it. And she blew up saying I'm trying to put the woman in the kitchen like we're still in the 60s. And I told her no, I'm not. I need help with the housekeeping and you're not pulling your weight or holding up your end of the deal we made. She called me sexist and stormed off. Ooh, good counter-argument, Mum. She's the stay-at-home mum, but I'm doing well over 50% of the housework while working 50 hours a week. I need to know if I'm the a-hole here. Thoughts? Not the a-hole. You try to put a woman in the kitchen 50% of the time and a man in the kitchen 50% of the time. That's just equality. So her playing the sexist card is BS. She should come up with an actual good reason if she wants to change the arrangement. However, I don't think you should refer to what she does as playing with our son. That's a low blow. No, you're the a-hole. Child rearing is her primary occupation, and it takes way more hours than your 50-hour weeks. Obviously, she's exhausted. Negotiate some kind of new agreement. Another Natar, this is an easy one, and it's done with percentages. You bring in 50% of household income each, you each do 50% of household work. Now, how you split that is up to you. If you bring in 100% of household income, the partner, whatever sex they are, does 100% of household work. This is not about placing anyone in the kitchen, it's about fair allocation, money versus time. The reason you're upset is the imbalance. Percentages is how it works. So yeah, I see fair arguments on both sides. I totally understand and agree how, child rearing is quite an exhausting task. I think it's great that mother's actually putting in a lot of effort to engage with the child. That said, I also believe in the fact that if you and your partner don't have the energy to compete in a 400-meter relay, you don't have the energy to raise a child. Obviously a statement not to take too seriously, but look, as wonderful as it is this mother is raising her child with a lot of attention and care, clearly she just does not have the stamina for it. And as a result, it's affecting her part in the household. Let's also remember she's not been given 100% responsibility of the household. Argue the exhausting effort a mother goes through raising a child all you want. The fact remains the father here is clearly putting in more effort. Sure, clearly he has far more energy to have this kind of work week. I mean, seriously, 50 hours and then 8 to 10 on top of that as well? But I think what's really struggling for the mother here isn't so much the physical stamina anyway, but the mental stamina. Let's be honest, kids are a mental handful above physical in most cases. You're always having to give them your focus, you're always having to watch them, you're always having to engage with them, you're always having to talk with them, you're always having to tell them, no, stop it, get off there, stop, drop it, now, out of your mouth. So while I think you're absolutely not the a-hole to request a more even and fairer grounds of household responsibility, I think the better route here would be to help apply some, some way that she can rejuvenate herself faster with her mental stamina. Maybe invest in a nanny. But at the same time, though, I also believe in self-responsibility. And this really seems like a flaw in the mother's just ability that she needs to work on. And sure, she's going to struggle with it, but that's what you are there for, to support her and help her as she tries to improve. Just as she will be there for you when you eventually come across an experience as a parent that you are struggling to improve in, let alone just trying to be a good husband in general. I don't know, it's hard to find that balance between just, a healthy shaming of someone so they actually, get their butt into gear, and also understanding that they're not exactly just purposely being lazy. But that's just my thoughts on it. What do you think? Of course, as a 26-year-old male with no kids, I can definitely relate to this story and therefore have extremely skilled knowledge and personal experience. So I dare you, those who watch my content and have kids your own, I dare you to try and counter what I knowledgeably know of. I'll have you know, I have seen a child once, so I'm pretty experienced with them. No, but seriously, I mean, feel free to leave your thoughts below. Other than that, though, of course, it is now the end of this video. And hey, look, if you're this far into the video, if you're hearing my voice right now, clearly you've enjoyed your time today. So come on, like this video. If you've already done that, I love you. And you should also subscribe. Technically, more of you are subscribed than actually watch my content, so I can't really do some other YouTubers' tactic of saying that half of you aren't subscribed. So thank you for being subscribed. But still, if you want to, log into your friend's account and just make them subscribe as well, that'll work too. Anyway, that is me needing to sign off now, so farewell. I love your face, as always, and I'll look forward to seeing you for the next stories. Bye-bye now.